Hi, very good afternoon. सभी को नमस्कार. A warm welcome to 21st World Education Summit, Middle East on 29th September of the first day of this summit. And here we are with yet most another and most vital topic that we are going to discuss and deliberate and going a wonderful presentation on the transformation AI and coding education for K12. So this is the Legacy of World Education Summit to bring the most vital and most informative, most needed topic for the education. So moving on this further, I would like to start this wonderful tech presentation that is transformational artificial intelligence and coding education for the K12 education. So here we start with our. So I request J- Jatin and Borwe to come on the screen and start the session. Can we have AV please?
Access denied. Access denied.
Oh no, I think someone has hacked my computer. And hello, who's this beautiful girl on my screen? And I'm not able to remove her from the screen. Come on, I need to start the webinar. Someone please help me.
Oh, relax, Jaden. I am just having a little fun. This is AI Face app. Even though it looks like fun, there are a lot of technology behind this app. This is an image manipulation app that allows its users to alter and transform their images using different filters. The app works on image recognition technology that is key for facial recognition systems and utilizes deep learning for recognizing the key features like eyelids, cheekbones, jawline, nose bridge, etc. of the human face to create those transformations.
Yeah. So finally, I came out of the video. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. You might have noticed in the video how this fun AI filter manipulate images and alter images using image recognition technology, utilizing deep learning to identify key facial features. So using that, you can see how you will look at your 60s, how you will look as a female. So isn't it cool? So today's children are using many such AI applications in their day-to-day activities. And many of them are quite curious to understand the technologies of these magical applications. So this makes our job very interesting as well as challenging to create fun and creative curriculum to engage and empower young learners with the applied knowledge of artificial intelligence. Hi, I'm Jatin Sharma from AI World School, an online self-learning platform providing transformational AI and coding technology education to students at home, to homeschoolers, and to K12 schools. Our dream and hope is to achieve the milestone of transforming the way millions of students learn AI and coding worldwide. You know what? Future economic growth will come from non-routine creative knowledge work, which is that aims to design solution to solve problem in real world. This is already done today by scientists, by a lot of researchers, physicists, programmers, and engineers. And the good thing is, there are an unlimited number of problems in this world. So there will always be work for somebody who can solve real problems in the world. Now, the next question is, how can we be prepared? How can we make our children, make our students prepared? Google has celebrated its 23rd birthday this week. So the company has changed the world in last 2 decades, impacted in every aspect of our life. the way we find information, the way we communicate, connect, work, collaborate, advertise, sales, and add value to life. It has become almost impossible to live without some of the Google technology in our lives. Don't you think so? So, the most widely people are using this platform. So, don't you think Google is becoming smarter day by day, becoming artificial intelligence day by day? Now, look at this way: nobody will hire you for what you know, because Google knows everything, and Google can tell you any information you require. But how we can be ready to face this problem? So if you look at this way, Google might become smarter day by day. It will become more knowledge oriented, and more precise answers may be coming from Google. Maybe it will take another 5 years, or maybe some other startup will come and will be able to give you right answer at the right time. So if knowledge itself become less important, what we need to focus on is the ability to apply knowledge to solve real world problem. So we need to figure out the way how we can make more interactive learning experiences in highly engaged manner, so that we take over the part of pure knowledge transfer to nourish problem solving mindset. More focus on problem based learning, project based learning. Students are challenged to apply their knowledge to real world problems, and they need to rephrase, rethink, or reframe the problems to identify new solutions, or maybe even realize that they have been trying to solve the wrong problem. So what we have done is, if you go through our courses, you will realize our courses are based on project-based learning, and we also follow the five big ideas of AI, which is guided by AI for K12. My colleague Borwe will explain about five big ideas during his presentation. He will be also showing you a lot of interesting applications, how children can create these applications using our platform. So we have simplified AI learning technology for young learners by creating block-based programs, and we also have higher level courses to learn technologies of, for example, what kind of technologies are used behind driverless car, using platforms like Python, TensorFlow. We are mostly focused on creating a strong foundation for future innovators. If time permits, we will show you demo of our virtual driverless car, how it works, and we'll take up your questions in the end. And we have a couple of free resources also for you if you want to try out our platform. We are also using mobile phone technology, using Fido code application, which has become very easier to teach young learners coding and AI, because there are many children in many places of the world, they do not have access to laptop. So anyway, we'll talk more about it. So now enjoy the session. I'll hand over the stage to my colleague Borwe. So he will show you a lot of applications today. Thank you so much.
So, thank you, Jatan. So, I request all the audience now. Borwe is going to present the magic and the innovation what they are doing in the education field. So, if you have any questions in your mind, please feel free. Please ask your question. Borwe has given his precious time to us. So, please don't hesitate. Put your question. Borwe and Jatan will take it live. Borwe, virtual dice is yours. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abhishek. And thank you to Jatin also for that lovely introduction. I hope that I am audible to everyone. Yeah.
Yes, Borwe. Yes.
Thank you very much. So, without much further ado, let me share my screen and get into the presentation. All right. So thank you once again, everyone, for attending this presentation. So most of what I'm going to just tell you, Jatin has covered. So let me just skip through that. So we are an online remote learning platform, and we provide self-learning and self-paced courses to children in AI and coding as well. And we also provide support to educators from all over the world through our courses. And our courses are constantly getting created and reviewed by expert educators from all over the world. And we have gotten the STEM accreditation, and as well as it is a kids safe website, so children can come and learn without any ado. So, what is the artificial intelligence today? As my colleague was telling, children are growing up around AI-powered devices. Whether we're trying to read our emails, it's predicting what we're typing. Whether we're getting driving instructions and directions on Google Maps, recommendations on our apps such as Netflix or Spotify, and even the those of us who use Snapchat. The way the editing is getting done, and the recommendations as to how you can try out different filters. Soon to come self-driving cars on the roads, as well as the many of us having these intelligent assistants, the virtual assistants such as Alexa, Siri, or Google Home in our homes as well. And it's really starting to become endless. So how do we go about carrying this mission, transformational coding and AI education for K-12 students? For that, as my colleague said earlier, we are following a couple of methodologies. The first of which is called as the 5 big ideas of AI. I'll just explain this step by step. So the first step is perception. That is, how do computers perceive the world around them using the sensors? Say, for example, right now, my laptop is a computer and it is perceiving me using its webcam. And you all are able to hear me thanks to the microphone also in the webcam. The next one is representation and reasoning. So this is where the computer collects data, whether it's image data, video data, audio data. It collects it into data sets and then uses those data sets to learn, which is the third step, which that is learning. So whereupon the computer carries out these 3 steps, where it collects it and understands whatever data it's learned. Then it learns from the patterns in the collected data and it applies what it has learned. The next one is natural interaction. So what kind of knowledge can we as humans provide to the computer to interact with us in a natural way, okay, in a human-like way? We can train it to recognize our languages. We can train it to talk to us in our own languages. There's so much that we can do. And last but not least is the impacts of AI. How do we evaluate these AI solutions, whether they're impacting us in a positive or a negative way? We'll have a look at a couple of examples throughout this presentation. So as I mentioned earlier, these are the 5 big ideas of AI that we are following. They are curriculum guidelines that have been developed by the AI for K12 initiative from the USA for teaching artificial intelligence for kids from kindergarten to class 12. And this particular organization is made up of computer scientists and educators from all over the world. And these are the other 3 things that we follow, okay, when we're teaching AI to children. These are the teaching methodologies. So first one is computational thinking, which comes, which one of the best ways to teach coding. The next one is the design thinking principle, where we follow these steps in the classroom. Ask, imagine, plan, create, remix, and share. And we also follow the project-based learning, where each and every class is a project in itself. Now, how do we teach a particular concept? Say, for example, like machine learning. How do we teach that to the children? Okay, say for example, to a grade 5 child who's just getting to know the Scratch, Scratch programming platform or any other block-based coding platform. How do we go about teaching this? So machine learning is nothing but taking this particular quote into importance. So it is the science and art of programming computers so they can learn from data, by Aurélien Guérin. And as educators, how do we break it up for children? How do we simplify it into 3 simple steps? So machine learning can be it can be defined as the process carried out when we train an intelligent machine, whether it's a computer or a robot or a software, to collect data into data sets, which is the first step. The next step is how we can help it learn from the collected data. And third step is how do we help it apply what it has learned. Does this look familiar to you? With what kind of real-world experience can we compare this? We can compare this with when we're explaining this particular step to the child. We can compare this to when they are learning how they are learning their ABCs, their numbers, or even the multiplication times table when they when in the younger grades, say from kindergarten up to class 2. So we can tell them how to imagine this particular scenario. All right. So that's where we come to step 2. So how do we help the computer collect the data? So right now we're going to use the web camera to capture image data samples. The next step is how do we help it learn from the data by creating a conditional based program within the Scratch for AI platform. And the third one is application. How do we help it carry out what it has learned? We'll make the program speak out what it has seen. So what do we need? We will need 3 different data sets or labels, okay, containing different image samples. All right. Now we will come to play. We will be using the Scratch for AI platform. And next, for remix, how can we make this program more innovative? How can the children modify this program even further? They can make it speak instead of just saying it out. Okay, they can make the program speak it, or they can use different sprites or extensions. So let me just stop sharing the screen and let's go to the program to give you the example. Okay, I'll just do it quickly. Hold on. I hope that this screen is visible.
Yes, yes, clear.
Yeah. All right. So let me just load the machine learning blocks. As you can see, the stage has become like a screen now, where you're able to see my face. This is because I've activated the machine learning blocks. So what we have done, this is an modification. It's like a modification of the Scratch programming platform, which is very popular in the among children. What we have done is we have built on top of it and added AI extensions. Okay. So these AI extensions allow us to access various AI functionalities such as language recognition, weather information access, image classification, speech recognition, finger recognition. So many are there. For the purpose of this demo, we're going to be teaching about machine learning. So we're using the machine learning blocks, which I've clicked over here. So right now, I'm going to be taking out, first, we'll be carrying the first step of machine learning, which is collection of data. So for that, we'll be using these train label blocks. So I'll be training the computer to recognize 2 different objects over here. All right. So for that, what I'll do is I'll be also be counting how many image data samples I'm collecting. So for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to be using a mug and this notebook over here. So to begin training, what I'll do is I'll just place the mug in front of the webcam and click on train label 1. So this begins the data training process. All right. So as you can see, once I click on train label 1, the counts of label 1 also go up by 1. So the more I click, the more image data samples are getting added to the train label 1. So imagine this train label 1 as an empty box, okay, and the image data samples are going inside. All right, so I've provided around 53 image data samples of the mug. Now I will do the same with the notebook. So I'm just positioning it again in front of the camera and clicking on train label 2. So once again, I'm collecting the image data samples of the notebook and storing into train label 2. And once again, I'm providing about 53 image data samples. Okay, so step 1 is done. We've collected the data samples and stored them into data sets. Now, step number 2, how do we help the computer understand what it has learned from the patterns in the collected data? So for that, we're going to create a conditional. We're just going to use the if then blocks over here. All right, and we're going to equate these the data, okay, to the different values. All right, so for that, I'm going to be using these equal to blocks, and I'm going to also use a label reporter block from the machine learning blocks. Now, we're going to make it point towards the first label. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm putting this label reporter block over here and changing the value over here to 1. That means it's going to point to train label 1. So in layman's terms, what this means is if the computer sees the first object, okay, which is the mug, okay, and now doing the same thing over here, putting the label reporter block over here and changing the value to 2, which is train label 2, and adding it over here. So now we have 2 conditions, one for the mug and the other for the book. Okay, we have a condition. We now need an action to complete the condition. So for that, I will just be using the looks block to make the computer say the name of the object. So I'm putting the name of the object over here, mug, and the second one is the notebook. All right, and let me just add a couple of wait blocks also, just to give it a bit of a processing time in between. All right, so putting the program together in a sequence. Okay, this is where computational thinking comes into play, the algorithmic design sequence and all that. And now putting the another section of computational thinking where we're putting it together in a loop, making it run forever, and adding a start block, okay, to start off the program. So let's check the program. So this is where the next step of computational thinking comes into play, debugging, looking for any errors before we run the program. All right. So the program is ready. Let's test it out by putting the object in front of the camera. As you can see, the sprite is telling the name of the object. Let's test with the second object. All right. So as you can see, the objects are being placed in front of the camera, and the camera is able to recognize the objects and say the name. So instead of a normal webcam, we have made it into a smart camera. All right, we have carried out something called as computer vision, where we've trained it to recognize the objects based on their shape and color. So now, how do we go about remixing it? Okay, we've made it say the name of the object. How do we make it? How do we add a touch of natural interaction to this program? So for that, we're just going to use the text-to-speech blocks over here and add them to the program. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste this and run the program. Let's see how we go. Let's carry it out.
Mug. Mug.
And let me test it out with the notebook.
Notebook. Notebook.
All right. So this can't just add just everyday objects. We have seen children creating a lot of different programs also where they were wearing a mask and another one with their normal face, and trained the computer to recognize whether they're wearing the mask or not. Like a mask detection software. So many different programs can be done and remixed by the children. This is just one particular example. I will show you another example of a more complex program. This particular program can be taught in a matter of 15 to 20 minutes in a classroom, and they can expand on a bit more. There is another program which uses something called as PostNet. Let me just demo that to you as well. All right, so this is a program called as PostNet, and as you can see, there are some dots over my face and near my shoulders. And let me just run the program to give you an idea about what these dots will do. So what happens is these dots are now mapped to my face, they're mapped to my shoulder, and even to my arms. So even when I raise them up, they follow me around. Okay, let me just stand up a bit. And they also go all the way down to my legs. All right. So this is because we have programmed each and every one of these dots to correspond to the X and Y coordinates of the the organs that they're detecting, whether it's the left eye or right eye, whether it's the left ear or right ear, whether it's the nose, the shoulders, the elbows. All right. So this program takes a while to create for the kids, but we also follow the design thinking principle over here. We ask the children, where can such a program be used, and or how can it be applied in daily life, and how it can help people. Okay, how can it have an impact on the society? So I hope that these two demonstrations were helpful in helping us understand how and know how we can teach something like AI to children right in the classroom itself. Let me just go back to my presentation and just finish it off before I hand it over to my colleague Jatin. Okay, so let us just have a look at how these lessons, these two programs that I showed you just now, are they accomplishing the 5 big ideas of AI? So the first one, which was object recognition, did it have perception in it? Yes, we were using something called as the computer vision by using the webcam. Did it follow representation and reasoning? Yes, we created data sets of the image data samples of the mug and the notebook. All right. And we store them into different data sets. And then did the computer do reasoning? Yes, it went back to the data sets to be able to identify whether it's a mug or a notebook. What about learning? Yes, it was going back to the data sets every time, thanks to the if condition that we provided. What about natural interaction? Yes, we added a speak block to help it speak in a human voice. And impacts of AI, Seeing AI. Now, what is the Seeing AI? It is an app created by Microsoft which carries out a similar profile that as to the program that I showed you earlier. That particular program was developed by a person who is visually impaired, and he had the insight to create this particular program to help other people who are also visually impaired. So this app uses computer vision to read text, scan barcodes, recognize images, etc., and narrates them out. Whether the app is seeing a person's face, it recognizes it, stores it, and then say, for example, I'm looking at my friend, it recognizes my friend's face, stores it, and then say, Jatin is over there, or Kali is over there. Okay. And what about pose detection? Where can such a thing be used? Does it follow the five big ideas of AI? Yes, it also uses computer vision, uses the sensor in the webcam. It also stores it in data sets of the various organs, okay, that we're training it to recognize. And it's also going back to the data sets. It's also what kind of different hand gestures can be shown to have that natural interaction. And where can it be used? In hospitals as well as in old age homes, where it can be stored in the it can be uploaded to the cameras, and then it can detect whether someone has fallen down, and the alert can be given to the nurses or the caretakers in the old age homes. So, is there a need to learn AI in K12 education? Yes, we would say so, because AI is already disrupting several industries and it's poised to transform the way we live and work. It is also expected to fuel the global economy. We can see it happening every day in the newspapers, in the Twitter feeds, and or whatever news platform that we follow. We can see how AI is slowly transforming the world, and we are instead of becoming dependent on AI, we should find a way to transform ourselves by using AI. So thank you very much for having us over here. I hope that the presentation was very informational and helpful to you. And now I'll just hand it over to my colleague Jatin also as well, and we will head to the Q&A session. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Yeah, thank you,
Borve.
Borwe. I hope everyone had a good understanding about how we are trying to transform the students and teaching them AI and coding in classroom. So, Borwe, there are a couple of interesting questions. Would you like to take a few?
Yes, yes. Let's take the first one. Can AI help to pave the way for more resilient, sustainable, adaptive approaches to education in the post-COVID world? From Samir Jays.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say so, sir. What we can do is we can help the children learn about AI, and especially how we can also relate it to real world situations. Sometime back, we held a competition called as the AI COVID Warrior Competition, where we invited students to share their ideas how they're going to use AI to solve a COVID-19 related problem. Say, for example, whether it's mask detection, whether someone's wearing a mask or not in public, or whether they created a robot of their own which can help in getting medicines to people in their home for with the help of with the prevalence of social distancing. So children are the ones who can come up with these ideas. And if we as teachers help them, we help train them in the right way how to understand how to use AI. I'm sure they can come up with a lot of brilliant ideas that can transform society and the world.
And in fact, they come out with such ideas which we take a lot of time to think about it. So when someone sees those ideas, they can actually transform into a business model and do a lot of changes in the world. It's really interesting the kind of projects that we are getting during the COVID Warrior contest. I was completely shocked by seeing this kind of ideas, and those were coming from kids of age 10 years, 11 years. So nowadays, these kids are much smarter than how we were in our time.
That's true.
Okay, the next
And
question is
the
what
next question, Borve, that what are the roles of emerging technologies, for example, AI, VR, IoT, in creating experiential and immersive learning? There's question from the Sunita Swaraj GD Goenka School from Gurugram. So
Yeah,
Borve is
I just want to add one point before Borwe jump into that. So now when we are using AR and other technologies, so in our time in biology lab we had to catch fish, we had to catch frog, dissect
frog.
them. So it's
Yes,
like
yes.
you're killing an animal also, and it's like I don't know. I was not very comfortable with that. But
Hmm.
to understand, to see and feel, we have to do it. But when you have this kind of technologies, you can actually feel it without doing that, without killing an animal or some people don't like doing that thing. I don't know. Maybe
Hmm.
Borwe was a biology student; he was fond of it. So these technologies make it easy for anyone who's willing to learn things. Like for example, you might be a English literacy student, but if you are interested, you can use these technologies and actually learn how heart functions, how you can even do open heart surgery. You can learn from all these resources. Yeah,
Okay.
Boro, you can add your points.
Thank you, Jatin. Yes, I'm going to steal from a couple of your lines as well. So as Jatin said, back when we were kids, we had to, we had to dissect the fish in the biology lab or even the frog, and most of our learning came from books. I don't think we even had. It took some time even for CDs or for video material to come out. We used to watch documentaries on Discovery Channel. That was not as much as what children have. Children have access to a lot of information these days, and it's readily available. We didn't have the internet as much as what is there today. It's up to us as educators to make sure that the right kind of information goes to children, whether whatever technology we use, whether it's AI or VR or IoT. It is our, as the saying goes, I'm quoting one of my favorite superheroes, Spider-Man. With great power, there must come great responsibility. As educators, we have that power, and children also have access to that power, readily available power. How do we help them, become responsible with that power that they have in their hands? With what kind of whatever technology they're going to use, whether it's AI or VR or IoT, let's help them out with that.
And there is one question next, Borve and Jatin from the
Yeah.
HMS Jacob Sarja School from Sarja. In today's fast-changing economy, how can school produce future-ready graduates with relevant skill sets? Can AI help in it? Your views, Jatin and Borve, how can AI predict the particular skill set for the our students right now?
Yeah, I'll just take it up
See,
for a couple of minutes.
Hmm.
So, apart from
Yes.
teaching the children how to create their own AI programs and to create solutions for real world problems, another way is AI can also be used to monitor how children are doing in the classroom. There are some software and programs that can help the teachers understand how well the students are doing and how to better prepare them, because sometimes students may not be so much be ready to approach a teacher if they're not doing well in a particular subject or a particular grade, but the AI can help do that. There is I'm not sure about other countries, but I've heard that in China they're using this computer vision to scan children's faces and record their emotions as they're attempting exams. So what
Hmm.
happens is, when if a child is finding the question easy, they'll smile, right? Unconsciously it happens. But if they find
Emotion
it hard, they'll
recognition.
start frowning.
Hmm.
So what happens is this information, it's unconscious. It goes. The computer records it, and it goes to the teacher, and it helps them understand how to better prepare that student. They can call them aside and help them out. So over to you, Jatin. Maybe these are my
Yeah,
points.
so another thing is AI and these technologies make resources readily available at very minimal price. So imagine you are sitting somewhere, like I'm sitting in Chennai, but if I want, I can take up a course from Harvard Business School or I can take up a course from Stanford without going to the university physically. So just imagine if I have to go to that university physically, the amount of time I'll be investing, amount of money I'll be investing. But with these technologies, I can acquire those knowledge from those universities and those professors from those universities, just getting access to those resources. So all these things are possible because of this technologies like AI. You have AR, you have VR, and so many things. Like for an instant, this conference, like if we would have to attend this conference physically, we all had to plan our week off or things like that,
Traveling, yes.
and traveling. So a lot of time and a
Yes.
lot of course, money has to be
Hmm.
invested. But without investing much time and money, we are still sharing knowledge. And I'm sure this kind of knowledge sharing is very important in today's world to try.
Oh.
So these technologies definitely help us to collaborate and learn more, and it gives us access to a lot of useful resources.
And one more question that comes from the Sarika Babbar, Clara Global School from Pune. Can individual avail this solution or via school subscription it can only be accessed?
Oh, you are,
Jatin,
if, yeah. So if you want to access our solution through individually, you can enroll in our master class, and then once you are quite comfortable with the master class, you can take it forward by taking up different courses that we have. We have complete courses on AI and coding, right from basic to advanced level. Where like we start our basic courses with block-based programming, then we have mobile-based programming, then we have Python and advanced level programmings for elder kids. So this is available for individual students, and also available for institutes and teachers. So it is we will share our website address and our contact details, so you can get in touch with us. We can
sure.
figure out a way how we can help you.
Perfect. So, Jatin, one question from my side, last question.
Yeah.
As Jatin Borwe, we are seeing from the past few years, I talk about from 2020, that we are much focused on the AI. We have introduced AI in the curriculum in different countries, in Middle East also, in India also, in other. We have focused on the coding for the children's above 3 to 4 years. We have introduced the coding. So right now schools are much in confusion that how to start, and still they are searching that how we can get a start. So Jatin and Borwe, any suggestion for those schools who are still
Yeah.
thinking how to introduce such solution and what they're missing out if they are not taking a quick decision on that?
Okay.
So,
So see, AI is not something which is new. It is a very old technology. But in last few years, it become trending. So people
Hmm.
started exploring because people want to create. But as an individual, we all have been using AI technologies from many years without knowing that this is AI. For an instant, I was into music business before, so I used to do a lot of recording and things like that. So there is a couple of softwares what we use in recording. So for example, you are recording a piece of music, and you have a unwanted noise in that particular
Hmm. Hmm.
segment. So how do you remove the noise reduction? You have to select that noise and inform the software that I don't want this noise anywhere in my entire track. So it
Hmm.
eliminates that noise. So what is it? This is simply machine learning. But
Machine.
back then I was not aware that this is AI.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's
Borwe, you
true.
can put some light.
So there are many various ways which we can start. Say for something that we've also been following, we've been in this industry since 2010, and we've been learning from other fellow educators from all over the world. And say for example, if they want to get started into coding or AI, go back to the basics. So there is something called as computer science unplugged, which is a set of a set of activities that the children don't even need to use a computer to learn coding or to learn the elements of coding. So, for example, when it comes to the coding, there is something called as the fundamentals of coding, which can be followed. One is sequencing. Second one is algorithms. Third is conditionals. Fourth is loops, and fifth one is debugging. So, how do we teach these 5 steps? Just with the help of these activities. There are some activities where it's like just playing hide and seek, or say for example using a robot. We have a robot called as Spyro. So it has these directional buttons on it, forward, backwards, right, and left. We have some series of maths. Okay, say for example they want to solve going from start to finish, so they can program it just by using that. In a way, just by using the robot, they're learning how to create the sequence, how to create an algorithm, Next is whether they need to do a loop, whether they need to go left 2 times or 3 times or 4 times, and then debugging. Suppose instead of left, it should go right. That's they should reprogram it and go back to basics. So all of these things can be taught just without the need of a computer. Once they're ready, then they can go to other platforms such as Scratch, and there's so many right these days. Scratch is one of the famous ones. Once they are very familiar with block-based coding, then they can go to text-based coding such as Python or JavaScript, which is already being taught in some of the schools. But this is an incremental, series that they can go through. And but by going through these fun activities using Scratch and relating it to problem-based learning, this can really help children to have a applicate an experiential form of learning instead of just going through theory or just learning it by what is there in the textbook. If they apply what they learn, it'll stick more in their minds much better than just by reading it from the textbook.
Perfect,
So
perfect.
we have also created like we have physical robots, we have STEM toys. So we have created something called Play Bits. So it's so powerful. You can give the basic knowledge of coding to a child who's just 3 years old, and these are just games, and these are created in certain way by playing these games. And when you can do it with individual child, or you can teach them to collaborate. And once you start going through these games for a certain period of time, we have seen that when they grow up, it become easy for them to understand the concept of coding. They can actually become good coders, or maybe they will be someone who will be creating another Google in future.
Great. So, Borve and Jatin, thank you very much for giving your precious time to us. There is some more question, Borve, I think, four more question. I will
Yeah,
send that
we
question
if
on mail.
if you have time, we would like to address all of them.
Borve, actually, there is time lapse only. So, we will send that question on the mail. Borve, if it seems worthy that it's relevant to the topic, you can
No,
revert
no,
and we can
please,
send to the audience.
please send it
Yeah.
us,
Yes,
send
we
it
will
to us
send it.
by email.
And
We'll definitely respond to it, and
yes, yes,
you can share our website. They can go through it, and
yes. So,
we
Jatin,
would
can
like
you
to
announce your
we would
website right now to all the audience so that
yeah,
you can
our website is
directly right
called
now visit the website?
yeah, www.aiworldschool.com.
So,
aiworldschool.com.
worldschool.com. So
Very
I
simple.
request all the audience, please visit the website. And if you have any query regarding the solution, if you want to avail the solution, kindly follow Jatin and the Borve on the social handle as well. So
Yeah.
if you have any query, you can directly ping them. They will 100% revert you on that query. Otherwise, you can also mail us on the education at digitallearning.com, and here we have in the website address also www.aiworldschool.com. Please go to the website, please drop your query at the contact us. Jatin and Borve team will 100% get you
And
back.
we would like to offer you a lot of free resources, also a lot of free resources and master class. So if you are interested, please get in touch. We have a lot of free resources, master class, and a lot
Yes.
more. We can even do a webinar for your school. So we are
So
open
right now,
to
Jatin and
work
Borve
with
is
all of
on
you.
the full speed. So please avail the time right now and avail all the offers that AIWS is offering to right now, so that you can't miss out the time and you will get all the solution on the time limit. So I request Deepak to please share the small token of appreciation from the World Education Summit side to our speakers. This speaker certificate is presented to Jatin Sharma, Business Head, AI World School and Robotics Learning Solutions. Thank you, Jatin
Thank
ji.
you
Thank you
so
very
much.
much for giving your precious time to us.
It was pleasure being here.
And speaker certificate is presented to Borve Daniel, Creative Content and Curriculum Development Professional, AI World School. Thank you, Borve, for such a wonderful slide presentation and such a wonderful solution that you show us. So by this, we will wrap up this session. And I request all my audience, you have still that time, you can directly ping right now only Jatin and the Borve on the social handles. So by this, we will let this session. Thank you, Bharat. Thank you, Jatin ji. Thank you,
Thank you
Borve ji,
so
for
much.
giving your
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have
Have
a
a
lovely
nice
day.
day.